Welcome back, everybody. We're going deep, deep into the Bible today. Genesis chapter 6. I can say kind of disturbing, but also, hopeful at the same time. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, it really digs into what it means to be human.
Hmm,
Good and evil, all that stuff. Consequences, second chances.
for sure. Genesis book 1 sets the scene for the whole Bible. And when you get to chapter 6, uh, things are not looking good for humanity. Chaos everywhere, violence all over the place, bad thoughts, like society just falling apart.
Yeah, it's bleak, really bleak. But what I find interesting is how Genesis ties that bad behavior, like the moral decay, to a spiritual crisis. You've got those sons of God. A lot of people say that means fallen angels messing around with human women. The lines between heaven and earth are getting all blurry. Like, creation itself is getting messed up.
It's a powerful image, right? And God sees it all. And of course, it upsets him big time. So he decides to just wipe the slate clean
Yeah.
with a flood, total destruction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
total judgment day. But even in all that destruction, there's a little bit of hope. God picks Noah, calls him righteous, says, build an ark. You and your family, you get to survive.
Oh, and not just them. Like two of every animal, too. It's like this crazy act of saving something while everything else gets destroyed.
Yeah.
A new beginning, even when it's super dark. But that new beginning depends on Noah. He's got to obey. He's got to have faith in God's plan, even when, let's be real, it probably sounded totally nuts.
Build a giant boat when there's not a single cloud in the sky. I bet even the most religion person would be like, wait, what? But Noah does it, follows God's instructions exactly. And that makes him a symbol of, well, how we mess up as humans, but also how we can be redeemed, how we can get a second chance.
It reminds me that even when everything is going wrong and you feel hopeless, there's power in doing the right thing, clinging to hope, even when the world feels like it's ending.
Okay, so our source material lays out 4 main takeaways. This is the stuff that makes Genesis 6 still relevant today, like thousands of years later.
Yeah, totally agree. It's about things we still deal with. Human nature, good versus evil, second chances, timeless. So let's break it down. What's the first takeaway?
Number 1, humanity messed up big time. Genesis 6 doesn't hold back. It's a world drowning in wickedness. Violence is everywhere. Evil thoughts. A reminder of what happens when people only care about themselves, when greed takes over, no respect for others.
Yeah, it's a warning, for sure. Ignoring sin, letting things rot morally, it's bad news for everyone, not just individuals. And it's not just an ancient history thing. We see it today, just in different ways, like extreme groups getting more powerful, politicians and businesses cutting corners ethically, violence in movies, video games, even on social media. We're always fighting that dark side of
Yeah.
humanity.
Exactly. And that brings us to takeaway 2, God's justice, but also his mercy. It's complicated. On the one hand, you've got the flood, right? The punishment for all that bad stuff. But then God spares Noah and his fam, a fresh start. It makes you think about what divine justice really is. Forgiveness, second chances. It's deep.
Philosophers, theologians, they've been arguing about this for centuries. How can a good God let bad things happen on such a massive scale? But then there's that idea of grace, of redemption. It's a tough one, a paradox. Runs through the whole Bible, actually.
Yeah.
And we still try to figure it out today.
What does faith really mean in the face of all that?
Right. And that ties into takeaway number 3, which is all about obedience and faith. Noah trusting God, even when it sounded ridiculous. That's faith in action. Building that ark when the sun's shining, no rain in sight.
It's like believing in something bigger than yourself, even when you don't get it, even when it makes no logical sense. Sometimes you got to just take that leap of faith, trust in a higher purpose, even if it goes against what everyone else is saying.
Totally. And lastly, takeaway number 4, preserving life, stewardship. God tells Noah, get all the animals, 2 of each, onto the ark. Shows that every living thing has value. It's our job to care for creation. Like, hey, this world is precious. I'm trusting you with it. Take care of it, protect it. Especially now, right? With all the environmental problems we've got, climate change, pollution. This message hits hard today.
For sure. Noah's Ark is a big ol' environmental message. We're not just living here, we're supposed to be taking care of this place, protecting all the different life forms, using resources wisely, keeping things in balance so future generations have something left. Which brings us to the big question. How do these ancient ideas apply to us now?
Because, let's be honest, this isn't just an old story. It's talking about stuff we're dealing with right now. The world feels crazy sometimes. So much going on, so much uncertainty, almost biblical scale problems. Seriously, it's like some of the stuff in Genesis 6 is happening right now. Climate change, all the fighting between people, political stuff. It can feel overwhelming. like we're lost at sea with the storm coming.
Yeah, I see the similarities, but I think that's why this story still matters. It helps us understand ourselves, why we do good and bad things, and how to stay hopeful even when it's tough.
So how do we actually use these old ideas in our lives today? Like, what's our arc in the 21st century? What do we need to build to survive?
Well, first, I think we got to remember that everything's connected. Like back in Genesis, a few people messing up affected the whole world. Our choices today, they have consequences too. It all adds up. How we use resources, how we treat each other, even the stuff we say online, it all matters.
Makes you think about taking responsibility, right? We're not just individuals. We're all part of this big system. We can help things get better, or we can be part of the problem.
Right. And that's where good leadership comes in. People with strong morals, doing the right thing. Noah, in the story, he's like a shining light in all that darkness. Even when everyone else is going crazy, he sticks to his values. That's what we need more of.
It takes guts, though, to stand up for what's right, even when it's hard, even when people disagree with you. We need more people like Noah in the world. Leaders who do the right thing, speak truth to power, and show others how to do the same.
Definitely. And it takes hope, too. Even when it seems like there's none left. The whole story of Noah, it's about hope. Even after the worst happens, there's always a chance to start over. We got to hold on to that, even when it feels like the world's falling apart around us.
And that reminds me of our last point
Oh.
about being caretakers of the earth. God tells Noah to save the animals, which means every living thing is important. We got to protect this planet, especially now with everything going on.
Yeah, it's like a big wake-up call. We inherited this place, but we're also supposed to take care of it for the people who come after us. That means making smart choices, protecting nature, using less stuff, making sure there's a future for everyone.
So as we finish up our deep dive into Genesis 6,
Yeah.
think about this. If you were building an ark today, what would you save? What good things would you want to bring into the future? What kind of world do you want to see on the other side of all this?
Wow, that's a great question to leave everyone with. We all have a part to play in making the future better. A world that's fair, where people care about each other, and where we take care of this planet. We can learn a lot from Genesis 6 and use those lessons to make a difference.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep building your own arcs of hope. We'll see you next time.